Olá a todas, bem-vindas ao terceiro Geekettes live Q&A. Now in English, because we are going to do this in English. Welcome everyone to the third Geekettes live Q&A. This time we are going to do this in English to make it more easy for the other girls from the other countries to watch this and talk with each other. Today we are going to talk with Beatriz Oliveira. Beatriz Oliveira is the founder and CEO of BindTuning. It is an online theme store that supports enterprise content management platforms such as Microsoft SharePoint and WordPress and Drupal. She's also a speaker, national and international, and she has also founded Coder Dojo at Vila do Conde next to Porto, where they help children and teenagers to learn how to code. So let's start. Hello, Beatriz, how are you?
Hi there. Thank you for joining me tonight.
You're in Microsoft, right? You just jumped in from another conference.
That's right. So I just ended a talk half an hour ago about UI patterns and how they lead to good UX. So I'm pretty tired at this time, but I'll try to answer all your questions. Don't worry.
Oh, I think it's going to be awesome. I met you at Portugal Girl Geek dinner. I remember I arrived there like 1 hour and a half late because I was stuck in traffic. Basically, I don't know if you remember, but it was on the 23rd December and it was in downtown Porto. So it was like almost Christmas Eve and you cannot move your car anyway. So I didn't have much time to be with everyone, but I remember you were so nice, and then I talked to you about Rails Girls, and then you said, "Oh, I'm going to help you and Fatima," and then I'm like, "Wow, yes, I'm going to do this."
and I did participate in a Rails Girl event. Yes, that's right.
Yes, you came all the way from Lisbon too, from another conference that you spoke, I think, in the middle of the night, right?
That's right.
That was so awesome. So for the Geekettes that don't know you, can you talk a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I wasn't a geek all my life. Okay, so I pretty much spent my entire adolescence thinking that I was going to be a doctor. And actually, it was very late that I realized that the health business was not for me, and I tried to shift my interests to something else. And at that time I had a lot of different interests. I believe that we all do. So I don't believe in people that only know to do one thing or that are tailored to do one thing. I believe that we all have several different skills and capacities. And curiously, I was 17 and I had never touched a computer. I know that today it seems like really awkward that I should have lived in a different planet, but it was like this. So 25 years ago, people did not have access to computers as they do today. But actually, I selected going to IT even without touching a computer my entire life. And it was a good choice. It turned out that I really liked IT. So I found out that I'm a geek person, for real. And so I graduated in IT. I started my life as a consultant in a big consulting company. And I was always very entrepreneurish. So I always liked creating things, and leading stuff. So 2 years after starting my life, my working life, I decided to move on to a personal project with 2 partners. At that time, it was my direct boss at the company that I was working on and a friend of mine, and we created my first company. It was a company that was very directed to developing applications based on Microsoft technologies. So we were doing a lot of different things, integration, document management, intranet, so big projects. And the company was very successful. So it was back in 2000, and you probably don't remember that, but at that time people were living, people were very euphoric about technology, and pretty much every company that was in the technology business had success. And we did have great success in that company. I actually sold my part a couple of years later. So it was a very, very interesting and good experience. Then I had other interests following that, because technology can exhaust you, right? We all know that. Working in technologies can sometimes drain your life, and you end up working almost 24 hours a day. We tend to be very committed to what we're doing, and we tend to pretty much have no life. And it happened to me. So I was working day and night, every day of the year. And after selling my first company, I thought, oh, I have to stop. I can't do this. It's going to kill me. And I did stop for some time. And I tried to shift away from technology, created actually another company in a very different area, organizing events. So doing parties, marriages, and you know, like big celebrations. But I realized that I was missing technology too much. So then I decided to move on to a new project, and then that's when BindTuning started. Well, actually, it was not yet BindTuning; it was something slightly different. And with time, I realized that there was a big need in the market for what we do right now. So templates for very large enterprise CMS platforms. And then, well, things started to grow, and today I'm in front of a very interesting project, which is BindTuning, serving thousands of customers worldwide, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that work at BindTuning? Like, what is Microsoft SharePoint? I think a lot of people don't know yet what it is.
Okay, so BindTuning is a marketplace. So it's an online store. That's what people see when they go to bindtuning.com. We sell templates for websites and intranets. The difference from any other marketplace that you see online is that the templates that we provide are directed to certain CMS platforms. So we work with very different platforms, from SharePoint, Office 365, WordPress, Drupal, Kentico, Orchard. So we cover over 10 different platforms. And the beauty of what we do is that in the back, there is this huge factory that is able to grab an HTML template, which is a universal language that every web designer knows. And the factory grabs that HTML and CSS and is able to produce the templates for any of the other tools. So it's a wonderful tool, really. As you were asking, you asked about SharePoint. SharePoint is one of the strongest platforms we work with. It's a very, very interesting and powerful tool. It's used by the largest companies in the world, and also by smaller companies, to create not only websites. It will be very limiting saying that it creates websites. It truly creates collaboration environments for large enterprises and internally in the enterprises, allowing them to share information, and any type of information. It's extremely powerful in sharing information and documents, and in searching information, indexing it, creating teams within the company, and allowing users with different profiles to access that information and to work on it. Since it's a very hard tool, so it's very complex to work with, it's not easy for a typical web designer to create a template for SharePoint. It would require a lot of technical knowledge. That's why what we sell is so important, and it's so so interesting for this kind of companies, because what can be, let's say, a branding project in SharePoint normally would take months of development. We can do it in a couple of minutes. So we can save companies a lot of time and money by using our platform. That is why it's so interesting for that particular platform.
That's really nice. Now let's go back a little bit. Do you remember the first site you ever built?
I do. I actually do. It was back in college. So I was in college from 92 to 97, and internet actually really started, and here in Portugal at least, we started having access to internet in 93, 94. And I had to build the project while still in graduating. I had to build a project for our library in college. So it was very static. So it was just information about school library, but that was it at that time. And internet websites were very bland. So you would only see like a white page and a few blue links and not much more than that. And actually at that time, I remember that I already had the concerns about design and trying to add more information and beauty to that. And with all the limitations that we had at that time, I remember that we added images to navigation and we added a few things. It was very rudimentary, but we tried to do our best. So it was an interesting initial experience.
Yeah. Well, and what about the site that you had most pleasure doing? Do you remember like the site that you finished and you said, yes, it's this?
BindTuning, obviously. So our current website is my pride. So I'm very proud of what we built. I cannot say that I was involved doing it all, obviously not. But now I have a team also working with me, and obviously it's also their work. But it was very good to see it ready, and I'm very proud of what we just built. We just redesigned BindTuning very recently, so the new version is online for like a month or so. And we were all very, very happy with the final results. So I would say that was the website that I was happier doing.
Oh, that's so good to hear. What about the next trends and web design trends and UI? How do you stay up to them? Do you read blogs or I don't know?
Yeah, so I try to keep updated. I don't have much free time, but in between, I try to keep up with the next web, and I try to read Smashing Magazine. So everything that I can, I typically follow up and I try to keep updated with the trends. Obviously, Google is our most powerful tool for keeping updated, because if sometimes information doesn't come to you, it's so simple to search, and you will have hundreds of different sources. So that's one of my favorite tools, really. Besides following a few websites, I tend to search for a lot of information. So and specific information, really. And there is a lot of things coming up in terms of trends that appeared in 2014 and now in 2015, and some that will remain for 2016. So there is a lot of things going on.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of those trends?
Sure. So I can go through very different things. Like, for example, long scrolling sites is a trend that started appearing like a year or so ago, and is definitely gonna stay. And when I talk about long scrolling, I'm talking about typically And this trend applies to very particular websites. Typically, one single page websites. So websites that rely on one single page, and that you have to scroll to navigate throughout the site. That is one type of site that you're still going to see next year. And also sites that have a very strong storytelling feature, like sites that want to sell something, and that storytelling of going throughout the site, and typically it has a lot to do with parallax scrolling, which is a technique that is used to display those like almost animated elements going when you scroll down the page. That type of site that converts very well when you reach out the end of the page, that you will also see. So that's the type of website that is very good for leading the user to do one action. So when you have a product or a situation, a scenario, where you know exactly the action that you want your users to perform, typically this long scrolling scenario applies very well. It leads to conversion. So it's going to be something that you will still see next year. Then we have material design from Google. It's kind of a Bible these days. So, I mean, everyone's doing material design. Everyone wants to do something using material design. And alongside with material design, we have card layouts. So using cards seems to be one of the hottest trends. And cards are being used in so many different situations. We see cards for to display information, like for example, we sometimes don't realize that we are using cards, but we are. Like for example, when you have a Pinterest board, or when you have Facebook, it uses cards. Every post is a card. When you have, for example, Flipboard magazines, you are using cards. When you have portfolios, you have cards. Pretty much every notification that you see on your websites are cards. So there is an enormous amount of elements where you can apply card design, and it's so hot nowadays. So it's one of the hottest trends. Then you have, for example, for landing pages, large hero images. So, you know, when you get into a website and you see that large image that takes over the entire real estate of the landing page, and then you have, for example, just one sentence or a button, or very little content, but a big image. This is a hot trend, and it will keep being hot in 2016. And alongside with this, you also have the usage of background video, which is also going to be something that we're still going to see in 2016. And for example, landing pages with big video images on the background, so we will still see those. And with the evolution of CSS, and since now we can rely so much in animation, you will see also in huge trends in terms of rich animations, and that has to do with all sorts of content and how you interact with content, how animations can improve your user experience as you purchase, as you share information with your friends, as you comment on elements. So every action, you will start seeing richer and richer animation elements. Sometimes they're small, but they're there, and they will help you have a better user experience. Then we have everything that has to do, for example, with navigation, with menus. Right now, we see some new trends on that area. Up until now, typically navigation was something that you had on the top of your page. It was horizontal. It was on the top, and that was it. So it was easy to identify. And without losing functionality, and obviously functionality and ease of use is one of the most important things when we are designing a website. Without losing focus, that we have to provide obviously easy to understand animation, navigation elements, and we have to provide simple navigation. There are new trends in terms of navigation, namely, now we start to see a lot of vertical elements, so vertical menus, typically associated with the hamburger menu. I don't know if you know what the hamburger menu is, like those 3 lines that started appearing mostly on mobile applications, but now they're widely used not only in mobile applications, but also on desktop websites. And that type of hamburger menu now is very related to the usage of vertical navigations, typically on the side. And one of the advantages of this type of navigation is that it doesn't take the real estate of your page. So you can use the page to provide content to your users. And navigation is there to be used when the user wants to interact with it and when the user needs to interact with it. So it doesn't take over the space of the page. Then we have other types of animation that are starting to appear, like, for example, full screen navigation, which is something that is actually one of the newest trends. So without seeing, it's probably hard to explain, but once you say that you want to navigate, and typically it's also opened when you click on the hamburger menu, a full screen navigation element opens up, and then you have very rich visuals that will explain the options in the page. And we're talking about videos, we're talking about very rich images, very rich user interfaces, sometimes even with information. We're talking about very rich navigation elements. And also one of the trends in terms of navigation that will still be here for the coming times is sticky navigation. And sticky means that it can be traditional horizontal navigation, but when you start scrolling down the page, navigation just sticks and becomes fixed to one spot in the page. It can be fixed on the top, on the bottom, on one of the sides. But sticky navigation has very good advantages for users. It means that users never lose context. So whatever they do, wherever they go to, whatever they select, they still have navigation visible at all times. And it's very intuitive, because it provides users ways of navigating to other elements and to moving to different pages, different options at any given moment. So they can scroll as much as they want, they will still have navigation elements available. So sticky navigation will definitely be here in the upcoming times. We have long scrolling sites, as I said, is very strong. So scrolling will also be something that will stick around for a long time. We have now also another trend which has to do with micro interactions, so small little bits and pieces of functionality that you can interact with, and that visually always provide an information that you are actually interacting with those elements. So we have a lot of different trends that will still be around. Something that I don't even think that it's a trend. It's kind of taken as granted right now, is responsive design. So that is something that will definitely be around until someone invents something new. But at least for now, responsive navigation is definitely the way to go when developing a website, which means that you only develop your structure and you only create your content once, and that same content and that same structure will display differently and adapt when you are seeing a website in different devices. So whether you are on a phone or you are on a tablet or a desktop or a very large screen, you will see a website that displays appropriately for that particular device, but the developer only has to create it once. So responsive design is definitely gonna stick around. As I said, I don't even think that it's a trend. I think that right now it's something that you have to do when you're doing web design. You have to create responsive design. So it's not even a question.
I think like a couple of years ago, people like the amount of people that the amount of time that people spent on computer became smaller than the amount of time that the people spent using the cell phone or an iPhone.
And cell phones are, so I think that we already passed over the point where users now do spend more time in cell phones or interact more with applications and mobile and websites. They interact more through a cell phone than through desktop devices. I believe that the turning point was around 2014. So before that, you had more desktop usage. Now you definitely have more mobile usage of applications and websites. So the turning point is already in the past.
It's already happened. So
we're in a complete new era. But there are a lot of different other trends. So flat design is here to stay. That is something
anymore.
No. So flat design is here to stay, definitely. You have parallax scrolling, which is also here to stay. When combined with flat design, typically provides very interesting user experiences. You have the usage, for example, of transparent navigations, typically on landing pages where you have those big hero areas and big videos. Transparent navigation is the most commonly used type of navigation on those scenarios because it does not interfere with what you're seeing in the back. It's something that is placed on top, and it's very lightweight and it's very clean. So it's there, but not intrusive. So that is something that you will still see. The same goes, for example, for ghost buttons, which are those buttons that you only see the border, and then they're hollow in the middle. So there's only the border and text and no color. And those buttons, so ghost buttons, will also still be around because they allow you to see whatever is in the back. So the rich media that you're showing, whether it is a video or an image, it's still there when using ghost buttons. So that is something that is also going to stick around. We have, when it comes to responsive design, we have also a very important trend, which is development for mobile first. And that is more important for web developers, not really for designers. But when creating code, when actually coding, one of the biggest trends is we are coding first for mobile, and then we create the exceptions for desktop devices. It's easier. Typically, it's easier to develop that way. So it's a very, very big trend. And then there are other things coming up, for example, like responsive icons. And although it seems something that people know what it is, sometimes they don't, because it means that the same icon is going to display differently, and it's not scaled. It's literally differently, whether it is on a mobile phone and a tablet and on a desktop device. So we even have, for example, responsive logos, and you can think, for example, on the Nike logo. On a desktop device, you could see Nike with the icon and then the text saying Nike. But when you just scroll down and so shrink down the page and you are previewing that website on a mobile device, responsively, the same icon will behave differently, and you can only see the icon and not the text. So these are trends that are definitely, some of them are not new in terms of like they're here for a year or so, but they will stick around for some more time, definitely.
Just for the fun of it.
And because they actually work, you know. I think that most of those they actually work.
Oh, I was talking about the next question. Like, what
Oh,
web design trend that you're happy we are no longer following, like for the fun of it?
which we're not following?
That is over. That finally it's over.
Skeuomorphic design.
How did I know that you were going to say this? I think it was one of the things that most people said, like, yes, it's over.
It was very time consuming. So yes, I'm glad it's over. So basically, creating skeuomorphic websites and skeuomorphic experiences would require so much effort from designers, because creating all those real life interactions was so detailed, you know, that obviously didn't make sense. So flat design, for the user, it's better because we're talking about simpler interfaces and much easier to understand. And for the developers, it's also much better because they're simpler to implement. So yes, skeuomorphic is completely gone.
I remember when they changed the calendar in the Mac, when it was like, it looked like a book, and I looked at it and I said, "Oh dear God, when is this over?"
Now it is.
Now it is. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the good things about ending skeuomorphic, it's also that we're assuming the digital world, you know? So we're not trying to transport and reproduce the real world inside computers. No, we're assuming that we're playing digital. So we're not, real world is something that is outside, and the digital world and digital experiences are something different and that have their own identity. So that is very good.
I totally agree with that concept. It's like a different world from here. It's not like Second Life or The Sims. They
Exactly. Exactly. That's right.
About that creating process, do you have any favorite design or development tools that you like to share?
Well, I can tell you which one I'm using. So basically right now I'm using Atom. I don't know if you ever heard of it. No. So I'm on a Mac. So I work on a Mac. And Atom is a very, very cool tool. So I would say that is my favorite right now. But I'm a person, I like to see the code. So I could even say that if I was working on a Windows, I could even do it on Notepad. But Atom is a very cool tool. Yes.
What's your creative process like? Do you do a lot of sketches or on a board or a notebook, and then you just move it? And
well, typically I do sketches, so hand sketches on sheets of paper, literally. My bag is very messy. I have hundreds of paper sheets with all sorts of designs and sketches. But I don't use Photoshop for a long, long time. So I go straight ahead to HTML. I truly believe on working prototypes. So and right now it's actually a trend, you know, implementing prototypes directly in HTML and CSS. They tend to be faster to implement, and they give you a better perspective of what the application is going to be like. So I like going straight ahead to working prototypes. So I just skip over the Photoshop phase. So typically this is it. It's very, very straightforward and to the point.
well, and you are so used to it that you think of a thing and then you just do the code on your mind. It's just you just need
it comes natural. That's right. It comes natural. So you don't have to plan an intermediate phase. And I've read a lot of different articles that that say that this is the way that people are doing things right now. So when I started doing it like this, and it was years ago, I quit Photoshop years ago. And at the beginning, I thought I was weird, you know, like I can't say my customers that I'm not using Photoshop. And it sometimes happens. So we were selling the templates, and sometimes we had emails from people saying, oh, can you send me the Photoshop? And I had to say, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot provide it. And at the beginning, I was kind of ashamed. I can't tell them that I'm not using Photoshop. My God, they're going to kill me or something, or think that I'm crazy. But with time, this is now a best practice, actually. So it's common, and you see documentation and you see articles that explain how to do things this way. So it seems like it's a good technique.
Yeah, and you could almost like do the print screens and send them, and instead of the Photoshop. So
sort of, and it's much easier to adjust when you have to implement changes, and when you have to move things around. In Photoshop, it's harder. It's time consuming, and typically it's much faster to do things in HTML.
yeah, and at the same time you will test it, right?
Yeah, no, it's tested, so it's immediate. Yeah, it's very good.
Nowadays, you are like the CEO and founder. So as your work moved a little bit from just doing the website and building the product to managing the team and everything, or how did you do that?
Yeah, right now I have a lot of different responsibilities, so I don't create websites or templates as I would like to. I can't. I have too many responsibilities and a lot of customer engaging to do. So it's not even managing the team, because I had to delegate that responsibility also to different people. Right now, I'm focused very much on working with the customers and on getting new deals, on engaging new partners, on trying to go after new designers to work with us. So that's pretty much my job today. It's much more managing that customer interaction and relationship that then implementing or developing.
And that takes you to a lot of places. Like today you're on Microsoft. You're in Microsoft, right?
Yeah, today I'm at Microsoft. So I also like to speak at events, because it's an opportunity for us to engage with people, and just getting feedback, talking to people. It's important. I like it a lot. I also, due to what we do at BindTuning, and since most of our business is international, so we pretty much don't have Portuguese customers. I would say that over 70% of our business is done in the US. Then we have Canada, Australia, UK, and 100 more countries that we sell to. But US is mainly our big market. So we have to go frequently to events in the US. I tend to travel quite a lot, yes.
Like SXSW and things like that, right?
Yeah, South by Southwest is a very cool event. Is one of the coolest events I've ever been to. We also have Web Summit here in Europe, right? And now it's coming to Lisbon, which is going to be awesome. I was at Web Summit last year. It was a very good experience. But South by Southwest is amazing. Yes, it's amazing, because you don't see trends, you see more than that. You see what's coming ahead. There are incredible ideas going on there. It's not what people are thinking today, it's what people are going to think about tomorrow. It's very envisioning. It's an awesome event. And it's not only technology, right? Because side by side with technology, you have the music events and festivals and parties and concerts. There are hundreds of concerts going on during those 2 weeks. So it's crazy. And then you have also the movie part of it. So you can see an incredible amount of movies, and there's so much going on. it's a very interesting event. So I would like, I've been there twice as an exhibitor. So we took BindTuning and we were exhibiting with BindTuning, but I would love to go there as a regular person, you know, just an attendee that goes to the event so that I could take full advantage of everything. When you don't have to work, you can enjoy. So I would love to go there and enjoy, really, yes. I'm remembering one of the coolest things that I saw last year at South by Southwest was an Oreo, you know, Oreos, the cookies,
Mm-hmm.
you know, those, with the filling. There was an Oreo 3D printing machine where you could actually select the cookie, and you could select the filling and everything, and you could even draw things for the filling. Like I wanted to be in a spiral, or in just drawing lines, and the printing machine would create the cookie in front of you. It was very, very cool. So this type of ideas, that's what you can see at South by Southwest. So not the regular stuff. It's like crazy stuff, really.
That's really cool. It's food printing at it. Instead of the movie that had the pizza and dehydrated pizza, now you print your food. And
Yes, pretty much.
It's a good thing for entrepreneurs, printing food. Like we almost don't have any time to do anything. If you're like on your computer, I feel like something, and then just print it.
Print your own food, yeah.
Okay, so now that you said that you were looking for people for your team, and talking about a web designer and the skills that they need to work now, because I think each year there's more news in technology, something else is invented, and what skills do you think a good web designer needs to have?
First, I believe that there is a skill that everyone should have, which is persistence. We cannot give up ever. It's very important to stay focused in whatever you do. So if you believe in something, if you believe in what you do, you cannot give up on the first problem, right? So that is one of the skills that I like the most on people. It's their capacity to stay focused and to believe in something and work for it. Then, obviously, when we're talking about web design, you have technical skills that are mandatory, right? HTML and CSS is a no-brainer. JavaScript, you also have to know it. Nowadays, you see more scripting platforms coming up. So, for example, we're using a lot of AngularJS for the browser. We're using Node.js for server stuff. So there are a lot of scripting languages that are pretty interesting these days. And AngularJS and Node.js, they're going to be very important next year. I can tell you that. So technically, these would be like the most important skills.
That's really nice. Now, changing a bit from the subject, I know that you founded Coder Dojo at Vila do Conde, right? It's not the dojo itself. What made you do that? When it was a specific that they said, no, I'm going to do this. This has to be done.
So it was something that was in my mind for some time. Although we are a small company, so we're not a very large company, we take social responsibility seriously. We have specific programs, for example, for nonprofits. We offer a lot of things for nonprofit companies. Every year we do pro bono work, so we always create websites for free. And we felt like we also could do something for the youngster and children and teenagers. those are the developers of the future, right? If we don't work with them right now, and mostly and specifically where my company is located, which is a small town, if we don't provide them access to this type of experiences, probably most of them will go to different areas and will not try technology, or those that actually like technology will have a hard time doing it by themselves. So it was important for us to work with kids of those ages and to provide them different experiences and help them out, work with technology from young ages, because for them it's so natural, you wouldn't imagine. So for them it's so easy. They get it all like really, really fast. It's very simple teaching them these kind of things. It seems like it's natural. They were born with it. So we're very, very happy for having Coder Dojo at our office. We have been doing it for about 6 months now, and we have a regular group of kids, around 15 kids that come regularly. So it's been very rewarding, and they're doing pretty cool stuff. So the older ones are already coding in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Very happy, for example, when they code, let's say, a Wheel of Fortune or different stuff. So they get very proud of what they build. It's been very rewarding, yes.
Has what's the percentages of boys and girls there?
It's unusual because we have more girls than boys.
That's so good to hear.
It's not usual, but it's just the way it is. We have a lot of girls. You wouldn't believe. So we have far more girls than boys. I believe that at these ages, boys are very shy, and they have a harder time socializing. So they don't like, just to share some experiences as much as girls, because for girls it's easy. They will talk to each other and they will share things, and they're not, they're more social. At those ages, boys are more into themselves. So even for boys that like technology, some will be shy of going there, or we have a few, but we definitely have more girls. So I'm counting on them for future generations of coders.
Yes, I think they won't let us down.
Nope, no, they won't.
Not at all. Has anything happened there that surprised you? Like some of them coding something and then they just came and showed you? And
I would say more from the little kids. So we have had, for example, a kid with 4 years old. And it was amazing to see how a child so small is able to do amazing. So he's not coding, obviously. He can't even write, right? So he doesn't know the letters. But he works with visual applications that lead and teach logic thinking. So all the logic that is typically associated with algorithms and with coding, literally, is there. So they have to think differently. And it's amazing how a child so young, with 4 years old or 5 years old, they're able to think that way. And you don't have to teach much because they will get it fast. So I believe that that's what probably surprised me the most.
What kind of applications do you use to?
Well, so we started 6 months ago. For the smaller kids, we're doing all the programs that you can find on code.org. So I don't know if you're familiar with it. It has lots of different levels. So it's very suitable for children that are just starting. And once they progress, exercises become harder. But in code.org, you still don't have real programming, so it's all visual. All the concepts are there, but they're very easy to interact with. And for the smaller children, we're working with code.org, at least to start. Then for those that end code.org exercises, we move them on to HTML and CSS. And then after that, we're moving them on to JavaScript. We're planning a session very, very closely. We want to work also with not only software, but hardware. So we're going to have a session most likely on Arduino or Raspberry Pi. So we will have sessions on that. We want them to be building, for example, robots, which I think it's very cool. So we will be trying to expose them to different technologies. Most likely we will also have sessions on Ruby. We will get there.
On Rails.
Yep.
Okay, I was trying to see if anyone has a question that would like to ask us before we close. We are almost time. Doesn't seem like there aren't. So maybe we close it. We will end it here. So
okay, thank you.
I would like to thank you so much for doing this, and I hope to see you soon in one of the next events.
Definitely, definitely. We'll see each other in some girl geek dinners or girls linen or Geekettes or yes, definitely.
Yes, you're organizing girls linen in Vila do Conde.
Yes, we are. So our first event was very, very successful. We had a full house. We had no place to sit people because there were so many people there. And women were very happy, you know, with the feeling of empowerment. Seeing someone share experiences and telling them that it's possible, that they can do things. It's very important. Although we're in the 21st century, sometimes women are still treated differently and feel different. So women feel like they don't have as much opportunities as men. So we have to provide examples and show women that it's possible, that they can be better and they can do amazing things. So it was very rewarding. We're already planning the next event, which is going to be in January. So yeah, it's interesting, very interesting.
Yes, for the ones that want to follow Beatriz and Girls Linen page to see the next events.
Yep, please do.
And that's quite a funny topic, because I've spoken to people that say that there aren't a lot of women in tech events or startup events or whatever, because they just aren't interested. And I don't agree with it in a personal point of view, because whenever I do an event for women in tech, I see that they exist, they are there, but for some reason, and there are lots and lots of reasons, they haven't jumped yet.
Yep.
So when they jump and then they meet other women like them, it's just a joy. I feel this joy when I do a Rails Girls. I feel this joy when I do a Girls Linen. I feel this joy when I talk with people from the Geekettes. It's so good to see other women that just like to think about the things we like.
You know, and the most amazing thing is that when women commit, they do amazing things, and they tend to be, I believe, even more effective than men. So we have a huge power in us. It's just a matter of, well, not giving up and stick very faithful to your dreams and to whatever it is that you want to accomplish. So it's important to be very persistent and to have faith in yourself.
Yes, and create more of this culture of women helping each other and being there for each other.
That's definitely.
That's true. Thank you so much, Beatriz.
Thank you.
Here, and I hope you get some rest after such a busy day.
Now I will.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for being around. Next week, we will talk with Filipa Neto from Chick White Choice. She's the founder and CEO. This week, they got an investment of $1.5 million. And I think we are going to ask her a lot of questions about her job and everything she has been doing until now. Okay, see you next week. Bye.